Hey guys, this is going to be our Chapter 9 review on surface area volume and also area of composite figures, area and circumference of circles. This is over Chapter 9. Alright, so let's get started. So we've got 7 questions that we're going to go over. We got a couple circles, we got a composite figure, a couple different things here, but this is mainly over Chapter 9. Might have a question on Chapter 8, but it's okay. We'll go over that as well. All right, number 1. What is the circumference of a circle? All right, so circumference, remember, you multiply pi times the diameter. So pi is 3.14, and the diameter is going to be the distance across the circle going through the center. So here, we're just given the radius. So the radius is not, this is not the number we want to use. We want to actually double that number to get to 16. Now, once we got to 16 meters, that's the number we want to use. We want to use that as our diameter. So we're going to take 16, and we're going to multiply that by pi, and then we're going to get, let's see, 3.14 times 16 to 50.24 meters. So circumference equals 50.24 meters. And that's going to be the distance around the circle. So if we were to walk around the circle, all the way around it, the perimeter, so to speak, the perimeter of that circle would be 50.24 around it. Okay. Number 2, what is the area of this composite figure? All right, so this composite figure is made up of a square and a triangle. So the square is actually not too bad. It's just side times side. 13 times 13. Oop, 13 times 13 should be what? 169? Yep, 169. So this is 169 millimeters squared. But the only issue that we've got here is we have to also find the area of the triangle. So the triangle, remember, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 of base times height, which is basically means the same thing. You multiply the base times the height and you divide by 2. Now the base, the length of the base of the triangle is going to be 13. Okay? So if you look at it that way, 13 is the base, the length of the base, 6 is the height. So 13 times 6, and then we're going to find half of that. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to divide that by 2. So area equals 13 times 6 equals, divide by 2, 39. So this is going to be 39 millimeters squared. Now once you have the area of the square and you have the area of the triangle, then we're going to add those together to get our total area. So 169 plus 39 is going to be 208. 208 millimeters squared. And you don't want to forget your squared, okay? Because squared means it has 2 dimensions. Area, we're basically looking at 2 different dimensions, okay? When we talk about cube or volume, that's when it's going to be to the 3rd power, because then you'll deal with length, width, and height, okay? We'll talk about that a little bit later. Number 3, what is the radius of this circle? Well, how do you find that out? We don't even know the diameter of this circle. We have no idea even what the diameter is. How would we even find out the radius? Well, they've given us a clue. The clue here is they give us the circumference. So they already given us the circumference. So if you plug in the circumference into our formula, 8.6 equals pi times diameter, you basically have a one-step equation right here. This is just a one-step equation. So in order to find out the diameter, because that'll give us a clue to what the radius is, in order to get the diameter, we have to get rid of that 3.14. So we have to do the opposite of multiplying by 3.14. So we've got to divide both sides by 3.14. So we do that, we will find out what the diameter is. So 8.6 divided by 3.14 is 2.7, crazy number. All right, so let's just say 2.7, roughly, 2.7. So 2.7 equals the diameter. Now if I take that and I divide that by 2, I'm just going to leave this crazy number in there for a second. I want to hit divide by 2. We get 1.369. So we'll just say 1.36. So the radius is going to be about 1.36. Roughly. Okay? So that's how you get the radius. So again, just a recap, take your circumference, divide it by pi to get the diameter. Once you know that the diameter, the distance all the way across, is 2.7, then you take that number and divide it by 2 because you want to get the radius. Radius is always half the diameter. Okay? Number 4. So this is a supplementary angle. X plus 74 degrees is going to equal 180 degrees. Because we know that a straight angle or straight line is 180 degrees. So if this whole thing's 180, then we know we're going to subtract 74 from 180 to get 106. So that means X has to be 106 degrees. This has to be 106 degrees. Okay, moving on to number 5. All right, so number 5, this is, I believe, volume. I believe they're asking for the volume in this one. I'm not quite sure, actually. Let me take a look. I believe it's... I believe it's surface area and volume. But I could be wrong. It could be just volume. Let me take a look at my notes and see what it's supposed to be. I did not write that down. Okay, I believe, because if it's both, then we need both formulas. But I don't think it's both. I think it's just, I want to say it's just volume, but let me make sure though. Yeah, what is the volume? Okay, so volume is area of base times height. Area of base times height. So the area of the base, now in this case, because it's a rectangular solid or rectangular prism, it really doesn't matter which one the base is, because you have two bases depending on how it lands. Okay? So the base here, so we could say that this is the base. Okay? So this is the area of the base right here. So if you're trying to find out the area of the base, well, the area of the base is 3.5 times 6.2. 21.7. So the area of the base is 21.7. Then you times that by the height, which is 10. 21.7 times 10 is going to be 217 centimeters cubed. And that's it. Now, I know in the past, a lot of people will say, well, just do length times width times height. And that's fine. You can do it that way. Length times width times height will get you the volume. Okay? But just remember, the length and the width is what created the area of the base here in the first place. So this is actually capital B. This is actually what this is. This is your length and width multiplied together. That's what area base is. So you just multiply all three of those numbers, and you get your answer. So volume is pretty simple. It's not too hard to do. It can get a little complicated if you have different shapes, but for the most part, it's pretty easy. All right, number 6. What is the area of the circle? So if you're trying to find the area of a circle, you're going to multiply pi times radius times radius. So if the diameter is 18, that means the radius is going to be half that amount. So the radius is going to be 9 meters. So area is going to be pi times 9 times 9. And we know that 9 times 9 is 81. We times that by pi. I just put pi there. It could be 81 pi, I guess could be your answer, but we'll actually multiply that. 81 times pi is 254.34 meters squared. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And then last but not least, we've got volume and surface area. So we're going to try to find the volume and the surface area of this small box. So I've got a small box, and I want to fill it up with sand. So I want to find out, okay, how much sand can actually fill in this box? Now, this is a 3-inch by 4-inch by 2-inch box. Now, just like I said earlier, for volume, it's just simply area base times height. if the area of the base, let's see if I can do this. So if the area of the base is 8 inches squared, right? 4 times 2 is 8 inches squared. Multiply the area of the base times the height. Then we get our total volume, which is going to be 24 inches cubed. Okay, 24 inches cubed. Now, surface area. Surface area is a little bit more difficult to do because in surface area, the surface area formula is perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times area of the base. Okay, so the perimeter of the base is the 4 plus the 2 plus the 4 plus the 2. So if you add all those sides up together, we get 12. So 12 is the perimeter of that base. That's where the 12 comes from. So 12 times 3 plus 2 times the area of the base. Now remember, the area of the base was 8 inches squared. So 2 times 8 is going to be that part. So surface area will end up being 36 plus 16, which is going to equal to 52 inches squared. All right, and we're about done. Now, last thing on this one is, the question was, if we had doubled the dimensions, if we had gone from 2 inches to 4 inches, from 4 inches to 8 inches, then 3 inches to 6 inches, how much would this change by? Would the answer change by a lot, by a little bit? Would it double? Would it triple? Would it quadruple? How much would it change by? So basically what that means is you have to do the problem all over again, but just change the numbers. So we'll change this to 4, change this to 8, change this to 6, and let's see what happens. Well, let's see, 6 times 8 times 4 for volume, right? Length times width times height. So 6 times 8 times 4 equals 192. So this would, the volume would increase to 192 inches cubed. Okay, how much more is that greater than the volume when it was, the dimensions were cut in half? Well, if you divide that by 24, you see it's 8 times. 8 times. So this is 8 times greater. 8 times greater. And then for surface area, we'll do the same thing. So the perimeter in this case would be 8 plus 4 would be 12, plus another 12 is 24. So the perimeter is 24. The height instead of 3 would be 6, plus 2 times area of base. The area of base would be 32. So if we did that one, 24 times 6 equals 144, plus, this would be 64, plus 64. So the surface area would equal 208 inches squared. So if we divided that by 52 to see how many times this is greater than the other one was, 4 times greater. So surface area is 4 times greater. So you can see this one just quadruples, but the volume doesn't quadruple. It does like 8 times greater, much, much more greater in volume. Okay, hopefully that helps. You're going to see this again pretty soon. Wish you well on the quiz, and I'll talk to you later. Catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.